It's Sunday evening, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We have episode 72 coming your way. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. Auburn potpourri. We're going to look ahead at the weekend that will be with Auburn A-Day weekend. And then we're going to look back at Auburn basketball, a recap show of sorts for you. That's all coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family, and of course, a special welcome in War Eagle to those of you that consider yourselves part of the E2C Network family. We are back again for a live recording. I am Kyle. That is Austin. We are here, folks, and ready. Austin, what is up?
One day you're gonna get the head nod to the right direction.
The head nod? Did I do it the wrong way again?
Yeah, each week it's difficult. It bothers me because I can't figure it out either. But I always check to see if you've got it. I consider you a pro, and so.
Well, I mean, clearly not if I'm not getting the head nods down the right way.
That's fine. We're trying. Happy Easter to you, Kyle.
Happy Easter to you as well. It's obviously a glorious day. For a variety of reasons, but the main reason is our Savior Jesus Christ down on the cross for all of us. And of course, Austin and I are always happy to talk to you about that if you're ever interested, intrigued, curious about that. But regardless of how you that's how we celebrate it and how we hope you celebrate it. We hope everybody had a happy Easter out there. You know, Austin, it's funny because we're probably not gonna have time to talk about this. This is a good way to maybe get us juiced up, and then we'll say hello to the folks. Do they do like an Easter egg hunt out on the lawn of Sanford? Like every year?
Not that I remember. I think there was well, you know what? I'm not sure. I was gonna say I think there's one out at Plainsman Park, but they weren't here this weekend. I saw something.
It would have been a good time to do it if they weren't there.
That's true. Maybe they did do it. I was just kind of naturally thinking it was after a game, but they were in College Station. So no, but not one on Sanford lawn that I'm aware of.
Can I propose something? And
sure.
I think this would be amazing. What if they had a campus-wide Easter egg hunt?
Oh, wow. For big kids?
For big kids. For big kids. And like there was actually like a golden egg somewhere with like
that'd be awesome.
A semester's worth of tuition paid for.
Oh, wow.
But like it was like you had to find it. Like this wasn't, we're going to set it over here in the corner like you do for the little kids, you know, just because you feel bad for them. This is like, go find this thing. You will have to search, no clues whatsoever. And if you get it, you get the tuition. The bad thing is somebody's going to forget about it. And like 15 years later, somebody will pull that thing open and be like, what is this? So
where in the world would you hide something like that? I mean, that is a reward.
I have ideas.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Well, I have some good.
Maybe we should put it on our own. We don't have that kind of money, but we could offer like
Austin,
a t-shirt.
This is brilliant. This is why we do this show, pre-show stuff for workshopping. You're seeing the sausage made. I just have a.
Here we go.
Let me work on it.
All right. I'm ready. Next year, folks.
Next year,
stay tuned.
The E2C Easter egg hunt on Auburn's campus. They'll probably love that.
You could win a semester's worth of no. We're not
gonna. No. I gotta win a semester's worth of pay first. Thank you all for being here. We love to see some familiar faces and some new faces. So thank you all for joining us as you come in. Smash that like button. It is a huge help in the stream, no matter where you're watching, whenever you're watching. But if you are live, we'd love to say hello to you guys for a few minutes here. We'll get started in about 2 or 3 minutes. Angela's here. 313 Edits is here. Mr. Bryant, a new Conquer Club member. Want to give him a shout out. So thank you, Mr. Bryant, for supporting what we do here. And we love each and every one of you. So appreciate you guys hanging out. What do we got going on here? Angela gave us some
okay.
I saw a post. They had it scheduled at Plainsman.
I wasn't crazy.
You knew
that would have been Friday. So while they were out of town, that makes more sense.
I just feel like they're wasting an opportunity to not have one on Sanford lawn for the little kids, because you just put it out there in the field and you let them go run for it. I mean, and
I think that'd be great.
If there's tackling by the little kids, that's fine. You know, it just comes with, it's like playing soccer. They all run together and smash together, and things happen sometimes.
I like the big kid idea.
I do too.
I like that a lot.
I'm gonna be honest. My wheels are turning right now, and they don't need to be. I need to concentrate on the show. But I have a brilliant idea. So,
oh boy.
We'll see if I even remember it. This is your homework, Austin.
Uh-oh.
Lord willing, we're around in a year. You have the responsibility to remind me at the beginning of March before March Madness gets crazy to say, hey, you had an idea for Easter?
My wife would tell you I am not a good person to task with a memory objective, but we're going to try.
But maybe between the two of us,
Sure.
we can pull something off.
And all our viewers.
Yes.
Conquer Club. We need Conquer Club to remind
I will
us.
tell you this. There has been things that have been like brought up by our regulars here, Conquer Club or not, that sometimes surprise me. I'm like, I forgot that actually happened.
Yeah.
The one thing they'll never let me forget is, the Dustbuster.
Never. That's stuck like glue.
And it's just never going to go. Angela has a very practical.
That's how you know she's a mom.
And smart comment.
Yep.
And guess what? Still not going to do it because I'm a guy.
Still won't do it.
Because I'm an idiot. That's why. Can't do it right now.
My wife would say, just get the reminders app. I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that.
It's like, no, this seems like too much work. But it's like, it'll take you 2 seconds to download it, put it in there, it's done. I'm like, nah, can't do it.
I don't do it. God gave me this. Faulty or not, we'll just ride with it.
We're just gonna ride with whatever we got up there. Sometimes sometimes the synapses connect. Oh, big word tonight.
Oh yeah.
Say something works up there, just not putting down reminders. No. All right.
Anyway,
well, that was an interesting start to the show. We got to get started though. What we'd love for you to do is again smash the like button as we get started. We're moving into our record session here. Most of you know how this works. We will not be interacting a ton during the show. We might do that every once in a while. We have a 30-minute-ish show with 3 10-minute-ish segments. We are going to be talking about Auburn potpourri, doing a preview of A-Day weekend, not just the A-Day football game, because it's more than that. And then we're going to do a recap of Auburn basketball, mainly men's basketball. There might be some women's basketball discussion thrown in there. We did that last week a little bit, but just kind of putting a bow on the other big sport that we love to talk about. So that's what's on the table for you all. Mr. Scott, are you ready?
I am ready to go.
In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it and you can qualify it through a variety of methods, times, places, people, things, and experiences. But at its heart and at its core, it is all about Auburn sports, all about the Auburn culture, and all about our Auburn family. Because it is about family, some members of that family have to be here. I'm your host, Kyle. Alongside me, as always, my good friend and yours, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. War Eagle Kyle, War Eagle to our listeners and viewers. Happy to be here. Happy Easter to you, Kyle. Happy Easter to all those listening. It is a glorious day, and we're glad to spend it with you.
He is risen.
Amen. He is risen indeed.
There we go. I was hoping we were going to get that going down there. We did it. We
still got some Southern Baptists out here.
We got to work that. You know what? This is not Auburn related at all. Is that Southern Baptist related? Because I had a debate with someone today if that's Southern Baptist or not.
I really don't know. Growing up, it was not as prominent where I went to church. It was a thing, and it was a thing in my family. I am now and have since because I moved from where I grew up, and I am now a member of my own church. And it is definitely more Southern Baptist, and it is way more of a thing. So I think I attribute it to that, because I have different perspectives of it and different lifestyles, but I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest with you, the repeating of it.
We just thought we'd throw that in there for you all, just a little bit of, we know a lot of you share the same beliefs there, and it's just an interesting thing that I picked up on this year. So since you brought it up, I had to cover it at least. Let's start off the show though, with our Auburn topics of Auburn potpourri. A lot to discuss as always here. We're probably not going to get to every single thing that we could and should discuss. I'd struggle with what to start with this week, because there's some really good stuff in it, but there's also some bad. Let's spread it out a little bit. This is kind of almost an intro to one of our bigger topics in the show, but we got to talk about it in and of itself. Obviously, the season is over for Auburn men's basketball, which means changes, new. You're technically beginning a new season, even though it is still postseason / moving into preseason. Things will begin to happen.
Yeah.
And as you can hear in Austin's voice, he's a little disappointed as Katie Johnson has announced that he will, and has confirmed on social media at this point, not even just a report, is confirmed by him that he is entering the transfer portal and will no longer, as we know of this moment,
Sure.
be an Auburn Tiger. So we have to operate off of what we know right now. Your initial reactions and thoughts about that news, even though it's a few days old at this point. What you feeling? What are you feeling, man?
Well, let's just try another little repetition exercise.
Okay.
He's a little psycho,
but he's our little psycho.
And well, no longer. We will share him with someone else. I think it's one of those things where it's a surprising development that hasn't happened before. Now, I think we talked all year about how this team was very willing to share minutes and willing to contribute when their number was called. KD is someone who can play more minutes somewhere else, and I think that's kind of where after a meeting with coaches, and they decided that would be best, and that's be best for him and in his last year of eligibility. So, look, we love KD. We all love KD. He has had his moments as an Auburn Tiger, and he has provided plenty of exciting, thrilling moments on the court, as well as plenty of memes for forever. And I wish him the best. I really hate that he will not, or he will play for someone else. I desperately hope he does not play against Auburn somewhere else. But he's going to do great. I love that Bruce Pearl said that he wants to come back and finish his degree at Auburn one day. I love that. I think that shows what Auburn means to him. And KD has meant a lot to Auburn basketball and Auburn University. So I wish him well. It is a sad moment for Auburn, just in that he has become ingrained in that Auburn family and the Auburn experience. But he'll do great. He'll do great. And I know wherever he ends up, he will have Auburn fans cheering him on. As long as he doesn't play us one day.
Yeah, that's what we're wishing for. I very much am trying to move this into like a well-known thing, the Bo Nix decision. Like, if you're gonna leave if you can as a graduate, or plans to come back and graduate, and go far away, like
as far as possible.
Like the fact that you have a higher chance of seeing KD again because it's so many teams get into the tournament.
Correct.
And you can't help that, but go. If he wants to go to Oregon, let him go to Oregon. That's kind of my take on this. Let's give each other some space to grow individually. And when I summarize my thoughts about KD, is very similar to yours. I was very disappointed, even though I knew this announcement was probably coming. If you just followed this team enough, how everybody makes decisions these days in the transfer portal for their futures, it makes a lot of sense for KD. And I wish it didn't have to be that way, but apparently that's just how it's going to go down. And Bruce has said as much. And I think outside of maybe just certain few fans who don't know how to rationalize things, I think all parties involved know that this is for the best for all parties, outside of missing each other. Like this is not something we want to have happen, but for each team to grow beyond party to grow beyond each other, I think that's probably the decision that needs to happen. So our little psycho, we are going to miss you very, very much, but we will follow you.
That's right.
Very, very closely, and see what other shenanigans you get yourself into, and hopefully frustrate so many other teams. Also, in our potpourri that we want to talk about, let's discuss something good. Folks, if you ever need something reliable, let me point you over to a giant facility off of Wire Road across from the vet school, where a world-renowned, not just conference, but national equestrian team resides. Yet again, your Auburn equestrian team, for the 6th year in a row, is SEC conference champions and tournament champions. It gets confusing because in basketball you can be a conference champion because of regular seasons, and you can be a tournament. I think it's just one here.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think there's a regular season.
Not as I understand it.
Yeah.
But wow, Austin, 6 not national. Well, it kind of feels that way in some ways in the SEC competition, but 6 SEC titles in a row. That's incredible.
It is. And it really, when you look at big picture of the program and see that, the greatest coach in equestrian world retires, and then, you have a change in leadership, and then you're still able to go after another SEC tournament championship. That's big, and that shows stability and shows what this program is really built on in order to sustain that success. So that's really great news, really exciting. This team is looking to get back in for a national championship. And so I think that they have the the power to do it, the horsepower, you might say. And
you did not make that joke. You did not make that joke.
And we'll see how far it goes. But really exciting news. And hey, Toomer's Corner got rolled for it, which rightfully so. And so we'll see. He's still shaking his head. I thought it was great. I mean, that
Like,
was
my head's hurting after
off
that.
the top of my head. Just
You didn't plan that at all?
no, I said power, and I went, oh yeah.
his dad brain went into mine. Yeah, I got one. I got a good one right here. Well, I guess I need to congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
I'm still kind of like gagging in my mouth a little bit. So yes, congratulations to the team, and we are continue to be proud of that program, even during a year technically of transition. Also in potpourri, let's talk about another not so great thing in terms of what it means for the program. And I know this is a topic that's very controversial in the sense that there are people who will find themselves on both sides of the fence here. But the news that Mickey Dean, head softball coach, announced he will be stepping down at the conclusion of this season, not now, as things stand and all that stuff. If you look at the program, it's had some very strong moments under him. It's also had some very frustrating moments under him as well. I think that's a fair assessment to make on that. It's definitely felt like maybe we haven't been able to take that step forward, although I will say that the recruiting has stayed relatively very good with them. So it's not that the program's not being fed with the right talent and stuff like that. In the transfer portal area, it can get crazy. This is a very nuanced topic that I think some people can't get out of their emotional states to really discuss. Well, here's what we want to take away. Coach Mickey Dean will be stepping down at the end of the year, and we're excited to see him finish out his year, hopefully strong. We are hosting the SEC softball tournament, and so we need to get things rolling here to finish strong the rest of the season, but definitely in the postseason. So obviously, I don't know if you thought this was an announcement that was coming, but I think it's at some point down the line of things continued, this was an announcement that would happen.
Right. I don't know if just because more outside of the Auburn softball realm, we don't see this from Auburn in the sense of, hey, this is going to be my last year, mid-year. So I think that in a way it was surprising to me that it was announced the way it was. But you're right. There's things that have been exciting, and I don't think that it is any small feat to discredit how the Myers era ended with Auburn softball, and to be able to bring in someone like Mickey Dean, who's well respected from James Madison, had hosted regionals, and was able to kind of steady that ship. But
with COVID on top of that,
great point. But in a sense, I also get the frustration of some where we had that taste of greatness with the softball program and getting to Oklahoma City and being so close to a championship, that we weren't able to do that again under Mickey Dean so far. And so I think that I understand that. I also think that it's still okay to give credit where credit is due, and Mickey Dean has done a good job as head coach of Auburn softball, and he needs our support going the rest of the way. So I'll look. I just don't want Mickey Dean to go to Clemson again. So let's do it enough for him to go anywhere else except Clemson. How about we host our own, make Clemson come here? How about that?
I would love that in there. But regardless, that story and that era will end at the end of this season, and we'll obviously watch. It's going to be interesting to see how that transition takes place, who's brought in, and what it means for the future of Auburn softball. Another period of transition coming up soon.
Only the third Auburn softball coach, right?
I know.
Program
isn't that
history?
Weird? Isn't
That's
that not
so
weird?
Strange. That's very strange.
It's very weird when you think about it. Tina Dees, Clinton Myers, and then Mickey Dean.
It's very weird.
It's one of the youngest programs we have, but even in that young history, a lot's been accomplished. I mean, it's we made it to a national title, SEC, relevance, all that stuff. So I think we just wish Mickey Dean a great end of the year.
And looks like he's the press release said he's staying on as an advisor to John Cohen's. I think that's great. And I loved his quote. I know you put it out.
Yep.
That he is not an Auburn man, but being ingrained in this Auburn family and community has affected him. And that is all you can ask for when
I think
people come into Auburn and want that change.
Yeah, that definitely speaks to what this whole thing of the Auburn experience is about.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you come from, how your story begins. All that
Let's
matters
remember
is
that
it
when we're
began.
talking about people out there.
Yeah, some people need to definitely remember that one.
Yes.
That's all the time we have for Auburn Potpourri today. Just as a quick roundup, though, obviously Auburn baseball and softball continue their seasons. We'll have another segment, larger segment, updating you guys in the near future about how they're doing. We definitely haven't forgotten about them. We still love talking about the Diamond Sports. But coming up for you, two major topics. We got A-Day just around the corner, A-Day weekend. We're going to preview the whole thing for you. And then we're going to do a review of the Auburn men's basketball season. But first, we've got to talk about our friends at Magic Mind. You've heard me talk about them a lot. And when we talk about them, we definitely talk about energy. We talk about focus. Where do you get the energy and focus, especially if you're an Auburn fan, as you've learned this week? Whether it's related to you, Auburn, specific stuff, or things related around things that are outside of Auburn, but still related somehow. It's a roller coaster ride. And you got to have energy, you got to have focus. I know as a content creator, that's definitely something that I'm looking for, but I'm also looking for those alternatives that are a little bit healthier of options, because, in some of these more mainstream products, you can't cut it in the health aspect of it. Well, look no further than our friends at Magic Mind. Their solution for you is a little green drink that sometimes when I look at the green, I go, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like that because I'm a bit picky. But then, I gave it a shot, and I'm telling you, this is actually something that's really sweet tasting. And I know it's a lot better for me, and it's giving me that energy and focus than some of those other energy drinks out there. So if you want to give it a shot, please do by visiting them at magicmind.com/Auburn podcast and use the code AUBURN to get 56% off or 20% off that one-time purchase. Again, you want to visit them at magicmind.com/Auburn to use the code Auburn, AUBURN, for that 56% off that subscription or 20% off that one-time purchase. Big topic number one tonight, Austin. We are talking about my absolute favorite time of the year.
Oh, wow.
Not football season. Well, I that's probably a little hyperbole. I love football season. I love March Madness. Those are probably my two biggies. But when I talk about what it means to be an Auburn man, an Auburn person, it can't get better when the weather works out, but also when you do it the right way. Having not just a day, the A-Day football game, the A-Day game, but A-Day weekend. And that is what we're going to talk about, is what's all going to happen and what you can get involved with. And of course, we're going to talk about the A-Day game as well. Now, Austin won't be there. I'm going to call him out on the show.
I will not.
But he does love this weekend, I know, because he echoes those same sentiments around what.
And lots of visitors come to pay taxes and sales tax in the Auburn
That's
area.
what it is about for you. Let's not even just mince words here. That's what it's about for you. Pay my taxes and help us out. And not that Auburn's hurting in any way, because it's a beautiful little place and everybody wants to move there.
Everybody.
Trust me on that one. A-Day weekend. Obviously, this is a very family-oriented, almost, would you say, homecoming-esque type of feel to this when you treat it the right way?
Yeah, I would say that. I think it's gotten that kind of marketing and promotion around it in years past. And like you said, I hate that it's such a big factor, but I think the weather always plays a pretty strong role in it. But when it's always made sure that there are multiple things to do, multiple avenues and areas of campus that are targeted to go check out, whether it be sporting events or autograph signings or whatnot. So it's always a good weekend. Always gets a big pull. I haven't even checked the weather for this weekend. Are we good? We're looking good. Okay.
Right now,
we're feeling good.
How about this? The fact that the rain chances are low is just an improvement in and of itself.
Amen.
Because if you remember last weekend, not only was it frustrating just because you're there mainly for a football game. Yeah. That's what the anchor is for this weekend. But there was also Frank Thomas's statue unveiling, which was still great, even despite all the rain. And it held off just long. Well, not even, it was still sprinkling, but for us to have a somewhat reasonable time to go out there and have the unveiling. But
This is looking good.
what are you
This
looking
is
at? You looking at the weather right now? Give
I'm
us a
looking-
full
we're-
report. Hey,
we're-
we're breaking in for meteorologist Austin Scott with
weather report on E2C Network, the Auburn Experience. We're going to go Friday through Sunday. We're talking about the whole
I love
weekend.
it. Let's do it.
Friday, April 5th, though, you got a partly cloudy with 0% chance of rain, high of
Ooh.
70 degrees and 43 low. That's
love
a
it.
beautiful day. Saturday for the 8A game, a football game, you got a partly cloudy skies with a high of 73 and low of 46, 0% precipitation. Sunday, when you go to check out the series finale for Auburn baseball and softball, it's partly cloudy. Temperatures bump up just a little bit. It's high as 75 and a low of 53 with a 0% chance. And that's your weather forecast for Auburn, Alabama on 8A weekend.
Thank you for that. That was well done.
I think I got a future.
You might have a future in that. I got to find a new co-host now, apparently. We are going to be looking at your new meteorologist for the Auburn area, Mr. Austin Scott, coming to us from E2C Network radio station. Okay. Anyway, we ran that bit a little bit longer than we probably
the rails.
We ran that bit longer than we should have there. Let's get back to the topic at hand. What I want to do is give you guys a scope of the full weekend, what you can get involved with, and please keep in mind, this is not the full range of what you can. This is just what Auburn University has put out in terms of their sporting events, which is why we're coming, and we're all coming mainly for that 8A football game.
Sure.
But let's give you the full scope here. Let's start with Friday. Softball versus Louisiana Tech. You have men's tennis versus Alabama. Volleyball just got added versus Alabama. That's going to be a spring match of sorts. They're not in season, but it's a spring match. Softball with Georgia Tech as well. And then the nightcap or afternoon cap, because it's 6 p.m., however you want to describe that. Baseball with Tennessee. So there's a lot to like there. I'm going to be honest with you, as much as I'm excited to come to Auburn's campus for spring, Austin, for baseball and softball, I'm going to try really hard to be at this volleyball match, because rare is the day that we get to even take in / enjoy volleyball outside of the fall. So that's what I look at on a Friday for personally, to be honest with you. I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I like it. And I like that they're doing that. You know, I don't think that it was a coincidence that we're getting this for 8A weekend. I think that they're taking advantage of the groups of people there. And so that's exciting. I think that looks really good. Correct me if I'm wrong. This softball weekend is a not a tournament, but a invitational of sorts.
Do you call them tournaments? I never can make up my mind about this. An invitational of sorts, I think, it's you invite. I like to call them showcases.
Okay, I like that.
I think it is a tournament style, but it's weird.
You're just playing a lot of games in a little amount of time, and so which is great for a weekend like this. You get a full day on Friday to get to see Auburn softball in action twice.
Yep.
And still get to make the Auburn baseball game. So I love that they pack it in on Friday, encourages people to come in on Friday and really spend your whole weekend, not just the Saturday.
Yep. And you get a chance to see us hopefully Rec Tech.
Rec Tech.
That's
Tech, right. We're going to get that parade back in my perfect conferences. They're still here.
I forgot we talked about that recently. So there's at least some way to live that rivalry out, at least through softball. Saturday, the big day, obviously, but not just because of the spring game. Let me give you what you got also in store here.
Hit us.
Tiger Trail induction ceremony. And we didn't talk about in potpourri because I didn't want to, we had other things that we wanted to discuss there too. But this is something that I definitely am at least going to try to go get shots of the new plaques and stuff if they're out on time. But I know it's a charge to go to the ceremony. I think it's like $25 and you get breakfast. And so if you have something you're not doing on Saturday morning and you want to get up, come on. You can find there on their website, the Tiger Trail induction ceremony.
Do we know who are the new members of the Tiger Trail?
There are 4 of them. I know Casey Cooper for softball is one of them. Rightfully so. I know she's getting in there quick. I should know the football one off the top of my head because I saw it and I was like, oh, is it Takeo Spikes? I was like, how does he not have one already?
No way.
Maybe I have that wrong, but I think it was Takeo Spikes.
Doing some research.
And I think there's a swimming one in there as well, but I know there were 4 if I remember correctly. And I have it
Takeo Spikes.
I was like, how does Takeo not have one yet?
Cliff Ellis,
thank you. How did I forget that one? And let me guess. No, Richard Quick already has one. Who's
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics? Gymnastics. I don't know. That's an inside joke with me and my wife. She's watching. It's a little girl. She couldn't say gymnastics, so she called it gymnastics. Anyway,
Caitlin Atkinson from Auburn
Caitlin
Gymnastics, the 2016
Yes.
SEC Gymnast of the Year. So
There you go.
that's really cool. I wonder where do new ones get added? Are we?
I heard it's by random draw where they and it's on what quadrant, because there's like a quadrant effect to it if you really look at it on a map, that they go, and I guess they would just add them where the next open space is down the line.
How about
So
that? I
there
didn't
you
know
go.
there was such a scientific process behind this.
That's the way I understand it to be.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's something maybe to go check out, if not the ceremony, but their plaques if it's out and ready for people to see this weekend. If you're part of On to Victory, an autograph session at 10 a.m., alumni football game in Jordan here, 11:05. A-Day starts at 1 p.m. Central Time, presented by Golden Flake. Not this podcast, maybe one day. But
Golden Flake, the proud sponsor of Auburn football.
And E2C Network.
We wish.
We love that. Sponsor us, Golden Flake. Softball twice that day versus losing Tech and Georgia Tech again. You get a double crack at them.
Man.
And then, of course, baseball versus Tennessee. Let's park it here at night.
Nice. We like that.
Actually, I know I lied to you. Tennessee is 3:30. I had that backwards there.
So right after the game.
Right-ish. Yeah. It depends on how fast the game goes this time. Since there's not going to be rain, it probably won't be less than an hour like it was last time.
True.
Hopefully it's more entertaining. Quick thoughts about the 8A game. Obviously, that's what most people are coming into town for. I've said it 1,000 times. I'm just thankful we're actually going to get to watch hopefully a full 8A happen this year, because
like a real football game.
As much as a spring game can be. What are you most looking forward to, at least coming out of that spring game?
I think we're all going to be, I don't want to overhype him. I'm afraid everybody already has. I think we're all going to come away amazed at Cam Coleman. I think this is going to be his kind of first time to shine. We're all going to overanalyze the quarterbacks, I'm sure. But I mean, I think this is it, like you said, it's a good chance we've got 2 new coordinators. We've got a plethora of new faces that will be on display and have a chance to make impressions. So I'm interested to see schemes, see what differences in offense Derek Nix brings, what differences in defense DJ Durkin brings, and how we see that play out in A-Day. We never see as much as we want to see, because it's a spring game and it's a practice that we are all invited to, or pay to attend.
That's increasing more and more these days.
Yes, it is. And so I think it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see Cam Coleman. Truthfully, I want to see him in as much action as we're going to get. So I think he has a chance to really be special on Saturday.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are wanting to know information about tickets and stuff, they're encouraging you all to buy them online. Just know that if you buy them on the day of, I think there's a little upcharge on that. So they're really trying to get people to buy them in advance. And as always, it's just, at least that I've seen, it's just you first come, first serve. Go get your seats. I have a suspicion, even with great weather, you're not going to be fighting to find the seat that you love.
No.
But with time, we may get back to those wonderful times we saw post-championship of the lower bowl being filled up. You never know. There might be a bit of a step up. Never know. But that's how it's going to work. And obviously what we will all be really excited for that day. Now, don't forget, look, I know everybody rushes out of town on Saturday, and I get it. Most people can only give up one day. But if you can get a full Auburn experience, this weekend is the weekend to do it. You have Sunday, men's tennis versus Mississippi State. Baseball, 1 p.m. Central Time versus Tennessee, and then men's tennis again that afternoon versus Alabama A&M. Now, I'm going to make a pitch for people for tennis, and I know they're like, Kyle, look, I love to keep up with them, but I just don't know that I can commit a day to tennis. If you've never been out to the Auburn Center, you're missing out. It's not like one of these golf atmospheres where you think you can't get excited and stuff like that. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Mississippi State is obviously an SEC opponent. If you can go to that one right around lunchtime, Alabama A&M, I would suspect we could beat them. I'd hope. So there's 2 opportunities for you to see men's tennis, and of course, hopefully, an all-important final game versus Tennessee. You never know, right? We could be hoping for a series win. Maybe. hopefully.
I hope so.
We need it.
We need it.
Definitely need it. Not because like we're doubting this team and program, all this stuff, but just because of numbers, logistics,
We need it.
4 things in the season. We're gonna need it.
We need it.
I think we've made the point. Need that game. But that's your full schedule. That's what you can look forward to. And keep in mind, there are things that are not in this list that we're reading from the athletic department that I'm sure going to be available. My hope and my plead is for this to become more and more like a mini game day atmosphere. I would love to see actual tailgating take place because then the focus can be on the tailgating as opposed to the game. And everybody can be more leisurely about these things. It would make me so happy one day to look out in that field and see those RVs parked out there.
Is there a Tiger Walk?
There has been. I have not seen an announcement as of us recording this on a Sunday night of it yet. And so I don't know.
But like it would be down.
Yes.
Donahue and Norman.
That's where they've done in the past, and that is where I will be recording it for you all if it does happen. So if you'd like to come by,
I thought I remembered that being like a thing, but I think we've just had too many years of bad weather that I'm forgetting what a like nice A-Day is like.
I know. So this is going to be it, folks. This is if you want a good weather weekend for A-Day, this is it. So you better show up and enjoy it while you can, because we've had few and far between. It's either been windy, it's either been cold, it's either been rainy. It looks like it's going to be just beautiful, maybe even slightly warm, some might say.
This has been your E2C Network weather report.
How that became this, I never will know. All right, big topic number 2 tonight. I want to talk about basketball. We obviously did a debrief of sorts after the March Madness ending, which we called March Sadness, which was not good. And
it's continued to be sad too.
Just leave that over there. So we can, rehash that a little bit, but I want to talk about it in its full view now, kind of putting basketball to bed, especially men's basketball, since we've talked about it so much almost every week for the last several weeks. And the way I think we could do it, Austin, is just kind of take a walk through the major components of the season, what we remember, whether that be obviously anything in preseason, non-conference, SEC, and then postseason opportunities. So I guess let me pitch that to you. You think about this team, if you can take yourself back to that point, which is hard to do considering everything that happened. What were you thinking? What were you hoping for? What were you worried about? Just what, if you can take yourself back to that time before the season starts, what was all on your mind then?
That's a great question, and feels like a very long time ago. I think
far away.
Far. Dun, 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 dun. I think that I was a bit concerned about guard play and how Aiden Holloway would blend and learn the college game quickly. I think we were pretty encouraged early on, and so I think that that was, the biggest component I was concerned about. I was incredibly excited Janai Broom was back.
Yeah.
There was a handful of transfers that we had very high hopes for, and throughout the course of the year, throughout the long year, ended up showing bright spots. Denver Jones, Chaney Johnson, Chad Baker-Mazara. And so I think that I was nervous of how all those cogs would fit together to make the wheel turn. But this coaching staff has shown they know how to do that. And it ended up, working really well.
Yeah.
Sure. I think you can ask for better guard play at times. The speed of the game to come to different players quicker. But it's human beings playing a sport. And so I think that those things are just natural with anything. But I think those were my biggest concerns going into it. Didn't take long to kind of not be as worried about those, but there was a lot of new faces coming in.
Yeah, definitely a lot of new faces. And I feel like there was less hype leading into the season for a variety of reasons. I think we didn't have a tip-off at Toomers. We did have open practices, a couple of them that kind of gave you to replace that. You Had a lot of transition in terms of coaches and players leaving
That's true.
and coming in. And then obviously with the newness of Coach Hugh Freeze coming for football, there's a lot of attention, maybe even more so because the season before that was terrible. Well, maybe they both were. But anyway, there was at least excitement about football, the newness of what was going on there. So I think all that combined took a little bit of the pressure and tension off this team.
Agreed.
And then when you couple in the questions about how is all these new pieces going to work together and can it work together really fast to put something special together? Like you said, it was kind of hard to pinpoint what we could expect out of this. I will tell you though, as the season began and I watched the first game versus Baylor, again, it was first game. It's at a neutral site. And I watched that team play together. I said, I'm fighting real hard to not get excited about this team. And if you'll go back and watch live stream shows, you'll see me really trying to not only talk to you all, the viewers, the listeners, but myself. Like it was like self-therapy in a sense. Do not do this to yourself. Do not believe this team
very early.
is as good as you feel like they are. But every time we move to that non-conference play outside of a handful of two situations, Baylor and App State. Am I correct on that, right? That was
That's
our only
right.
two
Yeah.
And that App State loss, I still maintain, is not a bad loss. And Baylor certainly isn't. I walked away from non-conference play telling folks this is an Elite 8 team. I know, we now know in hindsight, slow down. But you think back about non-conference. Anything else stuck out to you that as we went through that?
No, I think we saw really early on how this team was going to play in terms of minute sharing and how it was going to be a selfless team. Lots of different rotations, lots of different configurements of who's on the court at what time. I think we all knew very early on Janai Broom was going to be every bit of the pro that he looks like he's going to be. We all knew that Trey Donaldson had taken another step forward.
Yep.
In his point guard play, and Jalen Williams was going to be the Jalen Williams that we knew he has had the potential to be his 5 years. I don't even know.
Well,
it feels like a bunch.
I think it's 5, but it feels like 6. And I would have loved for it to have been a 7th somehow. Just I think for me, that's what began to make this year clearly it was going to be it's special. And when you talk about the full view, not how it ended, but the full view was the story of Jalen Williams realizing the potential we all saw that was there and becoming this dominant player alongside Janai. I mean, there was a stretch, folks, where Janai was almost taking a back seat to how well Jalen was playing.
That's right.
And it started in non-conference play. It's just like this light went off. And I think his biggest, not issue, but drawback was maybe not being more aggressive and confident in himself. And when that light went off, we just saw this brilliant player that we all knew was there. And we saw at times. That to me, I think is probably the biggest story for me personally coming out of non-conference play.
Yeah.
Anything else stuck out to you about non-conference or?
No, I'll be honest, and this can kind of move us into conference play. I had higher hopes, talking about just in non-conference, for Chaney Johnson and Chad Baker-Mazara. I thought that the potential was there. It was very obvious. They are athletic, raw specimens that can make differences for Auburn on the basketball court, but it just was not coming together as quickly as I think a lot of people have hoped. I think even the coaching staff hoped. But as we move into conference play, it was like you would expect that to be like, all right, if you're not there by then, hey, the SEC is a gauntlet. It's going to be next year for you. But those guys stepped up down the stretch.
Yeah, it's kind of like
massively.
Kind of piggyback on what you're saying. It's kind of like we saw with Juwan Traore. Like it didn't come along, and so when you saw SEC play come around, his numbers dipped. So just to kind of give you a little support for that.
No, yeah, you're right. And so thankfully that had the opposite effect. And now we look at both of those guys ahead of next year, and it has that same excitement of similar to Jalen and Janai, that we're like, these guys are going to be some building blocks for us to go into next year that we're confident about.
Yeah.
So the development of those guys all year long was really special. I think that as we went through SEC play, I was more and more impressed with the way they could handle the basketball, especially in a league like the SEC.
You saw with the conference play a good start, and then you ran into some road troubles. against a team that's doing well. And a few other places, Mississippi State, Florida is probably the lowest point of the full scope of the season because just walked in there and didn't even look like we wanted to be there. But if that's your low point, you saw this even with a few more losses that come along in the gauntlet of the SEC this year. And I don't even know why we say that at this point, because every sport is a gauntlet when it comes to the SEC, and it's typically the best conference in the sport that we're talking about. But you saw this team slowly become even more cohesive as minutes got further figured out. Some injuries came along. Janai, he came back. Lior, we lost him for the rest of the season. And you thought, okay, well, we had some momentum. These things are kind of hurting that momentum. Are we going to be able to sustain this thing through? And we finished out strong in the conference play and then roll into this tournament. And I think you and I, we're only a few weeks removed from this. We said we thought Auburn would make it to the championship game and lose to Kentucky.
Right.
But I think, we probably had a little bit just of the hype going with us too. This is a team in the SEC that could have faltered, but what a way to end your season, begin your postseason with another conference title under Bruce Turtle. Bruce Turtle. Bruce Turtle. That one's clip that one right there. Bruce. Me. That's definitely an awkward turtle right now. Bruce Pearl winning a conference tournament title. That was just, God, that was so sweet.
Auburn, Nashville, Auburn North showed up, and it was an incredible 4 days, or no, 3 days. Yes,
3 days.
3 days for Auburn. Right, played well, and ended up cutting down nets in Nashville. And so nothing to be, I know we all know what happened after. I know we all know what has happened.
What are you talking about? The season ended right there. Season ended there. Nothing's happening anymore. We all dreamed it.
But it's good. It's not a feat that needs to be diminished. And I know there's going to be people, I'm sure, that find this replay and they're like, oh, there they go. Little brother syndrome. But look, like, that is a banner that will hang in Neville Arena, and rightfully so should, because this team won a championship and they played like it.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible showing. That I think that Florida game was one that I was like, I got to see in person, and it was one where I was like, this team plays well together and loves to play with each other. And it was kind of the culmination of how the season had gone. So
right.
I'm really, really glad and proud that this team did get to cut down nets, no matter where it was, but that claimed SEC championship.
Yeah, very special way to reward this team for what they became this season. And even with the way it ended, I know that leaves a very sour taste in our mouths, but it should not be forgotten how special and how good this basketball team actually was at their best. And I will say this, and I know this is a bit of a step out here. I would probably have this team up against our Final Four team for the win. Hot take. I know.
I don't know.
I hear you. Both won an SEC tournament championship.
They did.
And one team was more consistent throughout the year than the other. And we had a dominant big man alongside a dominant power forward, with the weakest part, as people have already said ad nauseum, was the guard play. I'm telling you, this team.
I don't know, Kyle.
You clip that, I will fight you on this. I've waited all season to say this. The Final Four team would get beat by this team.
Oh, you are saying that out loud?
I'm saying it out loud right now. That's how much I love this basketball team this year.
How dare you?
I love that.
I'm not going that far. That is Kyle Loomis all and only by himself. I will go to bat for Jared Harper every day of my life.
This is not me saying they're not good.
You're just saying they're losing.
No, I'm just saying that in a one-off game, I'm going to take Janai Broome, Jalen Williams, Aiden Holloway / Trey, whoever started him, because they switched back and forth throughout the year. Chad Baker, Mazzara, yes, and who all these players.
No, can't even. We strongly disagree here.
I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them in a one-game situation.
Wow.
In Neville Arena or Auburn, because it was Auburn back when they knew. You can hate
in Neville Arena. That would be crazy though. If we did, like, let's just I don't know the word. Let's just visualize that we actually play this game in their prime. We time machine one and time machine the other.
Yep.
What is the Auburn? Neville Arena atmosphere like? Like, are we just nonstop cheering? It's
yes,
just nonstop.
it's like, yeah,
crazy.
No, listen, can we take the emotion of the way this season ended? And,
that emotion's gone.
And the emotion attached to that Final Four run.
I'm not taking emotion from either of them. I'm be honest with you. Jared Harper and Bryce Brown as a backcourt that would win that game.
I don't know that the front court could win the game versus this front court, and that's
fine. Jared Harper and Bryce Brown win the game.
Chad, Jalen, Janai. Enough said.
I don't think so, sir. I have
and
Malik.
Trey,
I have Chuma Okeke.
You do. And Chuma's healthy as can be in that.
I don't remember who the 5 was.
Bryce, Jalen. So we got Jalen, Bryce. Wait, I'm mixing them up now. Jared Harper,
Bryce, Chuma,
Anthony McLemore. Wasn't he the starter? Because he was the starting center, I think.
He was the starting center over Austin Wiley.
It was D'Angelo.
No, it'd be Malik.
Malik, yes. That's starting.
Okay, no. Anthony McLemore, Malik Dunbar, and Chuma Okeke. Yeah, I'm taking them 3.
Oh, we'll put this out.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, this team in a one-off game wins hands down.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, you post this, I'm going to win because of the emotion. There won't be
the emotion.
People will not be able to take emotion out of it. Yeah. But I'm telling you, I am not putting emotion in this. I'm not thinking about the Final Four. I'm not thinking about the Yale loss. I'm taking Jared Harper and Bryce Brown winning that game.
How about this? I know I lose this discussion because of the emotion.
Correct.
I agree. If you're able to have a logical, emotionless conversation about this, you will be on my side.
No, I am having a logical, emotionless.
I disagree.
I am not. No. Wow. This is one of our biggest disagreements, folks. We have Kyle and I. We. Wow.
He can't even talk to me anymore.
I really can't. I really cannot.
With that being said, I think that's an interesting way to end out our year recap. We'll continue this conversation another day. But for now, we got to say goodbye to the folks and appreciate you being here for episode 72 of the Auburn Experience podcast. And we discussed a lot in this one. That was quite a way to end it. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X. You can find me at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you and tell you that you're wrong?
At Austin G. Scott, come join my side. You will find me. I also have to, 1 second, Kyle, give a happy birthday to Brooks and Barrett. They turned 1 year old this past Wednesday, and I've been a dad for just over a year. It's been the most challenging and greatest year of my life, but happy birthday to those boys, and congratulations to my wife on being an incredible mom this past year. So there will be pictures on at Austin G. Scott on those platforms. That's how this ties in. So check them out.
Well, what am I supposed to do after that? Like,
you're supposed to stop disagreeing with me about the 2019 versus 2024 team.
Good night, folks. Episode 72 in the books. Thanks for hanging out with us.
War Eagle.
All right, folks. Good show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope y'all enjoyed that.
I can't even believe this.
I'm serious, man. That wasn't even for the show. I'll take this team. I'm telling you.
I just can't. I mean,
I know. Just I want you to think on it. You got a week. I want you to think on it.
I named my dog after Jared Harper. So
that's the logic we're going with. Is I named my dog after Jared Harper.
No, I think guard play would win, and I love Aiden and Trey, but Jared and Bryce have. Well, I guess Aiden and Trey are with Jared, and Denver is with Bryce. But I think that they're team.
Can I give you my caveat?
Sure.
I'm picking off something you said. The guard play wins in a longer term situation. In a one-off game where nobody's like got a scout on each other or anything other than what you know about the two teams.
Yeah. But the experience of Jared and Bryce and the
experience of Jalen, Janai.
I think it'd be a heck of a battle. I just think Jared wins it with the logo 3. Man, I wish we could make that happen.
That would be a beautiful game. It would be an absolutely beautiful game. And here's the crazy thing about
maybe somebody can like simulate that for us on like one of these video games.
Yeah, an AI thing. Here's the other thing too. If we had gotten to see that
2019.
Is it the year after that, the one that COVID
2020? Yeah, we're in agreement.
That one
we're in agreement.
If what happens what we think was going to happen with that team,
that
might have been the best team of all time.
Yeah, we're in agreement.
So we can end on that, or you can end on that, because you got to go enjoy some time with those beautiful boys, and obviously wish them a happy birthday from us.
I will do so. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. War Eagle, everybody.
War Eagle, thanks for hanging out with us. All right, folks, you can hang out with me for a few more minutes if you want to talk about that juicy little topic that we had at the end. Did not plan that one at all. Definitely going to put that one out on social media this week. What else do you want to discuss? We've got a few more minutes together. If you want to kind of just have a general chit chat, we've got a lot of things that y'all want to talk about. I could stay a little longer, but we try to wrap up at the 10 o'clock hour. But again, if you got something you want to talk about, drop it in now. Let me remind you what's coming up next at E2C Network. You want to be subscribed if you are not here on YouTube. If you follow somewhere else, obviously you can do that, but YouTube is home base. Here's what we got coming up for you next. Scheduled wise, we have a baseball live stream this Tuesday night where we will review Texas A&M. We'll talk about the UAB game right after. This is what we're doing it after, and then look ahead to Tennessee and the 8A weekend fun of that Tennessee matchup. And we will have our Wednesday night stream where you can call into the show, hang out with us, and have a little fun just talking about whatever you want to discuss there and calling in to the show. I will go ahead and announce this, that like I mentioned during the show, my hope and plan is always to do a Tiger Walk live stream for you all if they are planning on doing that. If you guys can watch that one live, that would be great. You will see that get put up the day of, or it should be ready by that morning when you check in. So just check in and be ready to watch that live so you can take part in that if you can't be there. I know it's hard to get there for everybody sometimes, but we hope that you can come to 8A. I would love to meet some people, hang out with y'all on the loveliest village on the plains. What else? Anything else y'all want to discuss? Trying to see if there's anything. We had one agreeing with me about the topic. I think Austin was all emotion with that one. Thomas, we answered that during the show. The general admission tickets. I think there's probably a way you can reserve the way they have been promoting a lot of things these days, but I think it's mainly all, if not all, general admission. Does Auburn have sports like in Olympics, like curling or archery? Well, a lot of sports are Olympic sports, like swimming and diving, soccer. I understand what you mean, the stuff that we don't have already. I believe that we have a lot of club teams. If you go look, in fact, I'll kind of do Auburn University sports clubs. You will find, in fact, right here, Auburn University Campus Recreation. So even though it's not, some of these club teams, as I understand, are open to the general public, you can apply, try out, sign up to be on these teams. You'll probably find some of these situations there. You can form a club if you want to as well, if you're a university student. So they have got barbell powerlifting, so that would be in there. Is bass fishing a Olympic sport these days? I think it is. Clay shooting is there. This is a good question. Disc golf feels like it's one now. Fencing is there. Field hockey, I know, is an Olympic sport. Sailing, I believe, is in there now. Rugby. We have interviewed the rugby team in a previous season. Pickleball's there now too. Handball, ping pong, table tennis. So yes, to answer your question in the most general sense, there are a ton of Olympic sport club teams. And I'll be honest with you, I've wanted to cover those in a lot more detail. We just don't have the time or capacity the way we operate now. But hopefully one day in the future. You guys do a great job of helping us continue to grow and build towards that goal in the future. Angela says, I still believe in the baseball team. It's going to be a fight, but have faith. I want to make sure I say it for the record, and I think you heard it me and Austin talking about it, that we will never lose faith at this point in this program and Coach Butch Thompson. Time and time again, he's proven that he can make something out of nothing, and it has not been a great start to SEC play, considering who you had to play as well. That's pretty tough, tall to make something great of that. But there is still plenty to be had with this team. Do not check out. Do not give up. I promise you, this is a team and a program worth following and continuing. And hey, if it doesn't end up in postseason play, if it doesn't end up how you necessarily wanted the team to be, this is still a fun team to watch. If you've watched some of the baseball games, you'll know that. It's a good offensive team. We've got some pitching that's coming along. And boy, is Plainsman Park a fun place to be at. A lot of options to watch the game now out in that outfield. New patio if you want to get out there in the rambunctiousness in the deck, or get your ticket in the seats with lots of options there. So please don't lose heart in this team and this program. Let's see here. Who chooses the schedule? Is it Birmingham? Well, yeah, the SEC offices are located in Birmingham. So yeah, that would be my understanding is the scheduling happens with discussions with everybody, like their chancellors, the decision makers for the university schedules, and their athletic director, obviously. So that's how I understand it works. The SEC owns all sports, which is why the nation is mad. What do you mean the nation is mad? Am I missing something? I didn't know we were talking about the nation being mad. But yes, the SEC owns all sports. I'll say this again, and maybe this is one of those comments that comes up a little late and you're on the delay. You'll notice now that there are ads that come up on YouTube in between all of the, if you're watching live, especially, only this is what we're talking about. You might have to refresh because you might be a little bit behind in chat. In chat. Maybe that was about that one, but anyway. So, all right. Folks, thanks for hanging out with us, being part of the stream. We appreciate you all being here. Please do tell a friend, tell them to join us. We'd love to continue to build these crowds up. And I love doing the show with you all. As always, we thank you for being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.